Happening? What's happening? What's happening? How's everybody doing? Well, listen, man. Welcome to Men's Virtual Lounge. I'm your boy D Rob. So if you wind up watching the replay, man, by all means, drop a replay in the chat. Let me know you're watching the replay. Follow me on YouTube or on the YouTube page, man. Please hit the subscribe button. This way, when I get or upload new videos, you can be the first to connect. So what's happening, guys? What's going on in your world? Many guys find it difficult to ask for help. And if you're one of those guys that find it difficult to ask for help, man, I want to encourage you to get out of your head. Get beyond yourself, and get connected to some people who can truly help. And the first place of starting with help is, one, realizing you need help, and two, asking for help. And the biggest thing that I think men don't do is ask for help. So I want to encourage you, man, if you're a male out there struggling and in transitioning, listen, I want to encourage you to ask for help. I think that's one of the biggest struggles men face. It's just that oftentimes they feel like they don't have anybody they can respond to or talk to. I encourage you to connect with Men of Vision in Colorado. That way you can be able to ask for help. We're talking what's the giants in your life? That's right. That's the topic of the day. What's the giants in your life? Giants are just those obstacles in life, man. Those challenges that we seem to be bombarded with, that we are faced with daily. Giants can be very intimidating. Yeah. These are the larger than life obstacles, things that we can't we say to ourselves, well, I'm not sure if I can overcome that. It might be a fear of something. A giant can be an addiction to something. The giant can just show up in your behavior as anger. Yeah. A giant in your life can be something in the matter of rejection. You don't handle rejection well, or you don't like rejection, or your fear of rejection. A giant in your life could be procrastination. Yeah, procrastination. And that's what I want to tap on today, man, is that giant of procrastination, and how we allow these giants to just come in our life, bombard us, take charge of our life, hold us down, hinder us, keep us from reaching our next level in life, rob people of their power. In some cases, giants even hold some people back from reaching their full potential because of fear, because of addiction. In some cases, giants paralyze others from moving forward. You're scared to take the next step. You're overthinking how you should move or how you should respond. The giant is in the way. You see the giant obstacle, and so now you won't take the next step in life. Giants, when they come to take our power, they also come to cause confusion, and cause us to lack direction, not sure where we want to go, not sure how we want to move. I'm just curious to know, what's the giant in your life? What's that thing? What's that obstacle that's holding you up? What's the thing that's keeping you from doing what you're passionate about doing? What's the thing that's keeping you from maybe opening that business? What giant are you seeing? What does your giant look like? Is it in the form of fear? Yeah. Maybe you want to mend a relationship, and you want to get your life back on track, but your giant is now addiction, substance abuse, alcoholism. What's that giant in your life? Is it you in the business, or you want to go back to school, but you're scared that you may fail, and you don't want to fail, or you don't want to feel rejected by others? Is that giant in your life? Just curious, what's the giant in your life? If you got an answer for me, listen in the chat. Let me know, what's your giant? What's that thing that's holding you up? What's the thing that's bombarding you? Procrastination, as we talk about today, we're going to talk about today, is the killer of dreams. It's the thief that steals away our confidence, keeps us from moving and thriving in life how we desire. Think about that. What's the thing that's holding you down? You know, when I think of giants, when I think of giants in our lives, and I think of the obstacles in our lives, the one thing that comes to mind for me um, is the story of David versus Goliath. We all read the good book in, I think it's First Samuel 17, where it talks about David and Goliath, and it's an amazing story of the Philistine Goliath who who's at war with Israel or wants to go to war with Israel, um, threaten them, call them out to battle, and the whole Israelite army, to include the king, is intimidated, fearful to step out in battle because of Goliath. You know, what's the thing in your life that you're scared to confront? What's the thing in your life that looks larger than life, that seems to be holding you in place, keeping you from moving towards your goals, your dreams, your visions? What's the thing that's challenging you that you just can't seem to overcome or confront? That's what the Goliath, that's the giant is. The giant in our life is like Goliath, you know. And when I think of this story of David and Goliath, and which is a powerful story, because um this young man David, when you read this story of in First Samuel 17, you see this young lad come and just simply uh walks in an amount of courage or self confidence, almost as a infant, not knowing that there's danger around the corner or that there's danger in front of him, you know, so much so. And when I think about this, when I think about the David versus Goliath story, um, so many things stand out, and I just trying to see how I can paraphrase this to sum it up as simple as I know, you know, when it comes to facing giants. And I want to encourage you to go back, pick up your Bible. Yep. Pick up your Bible and go back and read First Samuel 17 and get an idea, a better understanding, let's say that, of what I'm talking about here when it comes to David versus Goliath. Young lad who comes into the camp really to serve, right? But he hears these taunts from the giant Goliath, the Philistine, who is challenging uh, God's people, God's army, the children of Israel, right? And he takes upon himself and say, you know what? If you guys won't fight him, I'll go take care of this battle. I'll go fight him, right? Just to sum this thing up for you. Just he wants to go fight him. I'm just curious to know how many of us are willing to charge or face our difficulties. We think of giants and we think of all the stresses in life or the challenges of life. Oftentimes, we don't often charge towards those things that seem to be intimidating, those things that seem to be larger than life. We don't seem to charge towards those things, right? If anything, we kind of just like, you know what, I'll deal with that later, right? We have that I'll deal with that later syndrome. You know, I want to highlight that for you real quick. That's called procrastination. That's the giant we're talking about today, the giant of procrastination in our life. But I want you to get to this place where you get the mindset of a David, the courage of a David. Yep. To go face your enemy, to go to battle with your enemy, and we're gonna talk a little bit in depth too about that. This battle, right? So here's David, man, willing to go fight the Goliath in his life. I wish I had wrote this out but I played this thought out in my head, right? I played this thought out in my head. I'm gonna share this with you. Challenge. David is in a place where fear, yep, reluctancy, is everywhere. The whole army is gripped with fear, from the king to the soldiers. Everybody is gripped in fear. And this young man had to get to a place where he get outside of his environment, get outside of his environment so he can take on the mindset, yep, to take on the mindset to handle the challenge in front of him, right? And so story tells us that David left or went down to the brook to pick up to pick up went that well he said went down to the brook. I don't want to get I'm trying to I jump myself too quick. He went down to the brook, or yeah, to find stones, to find five smooth stones, right? And in the midst of this, um, I just wonder for myself. I wonder for myself this. Why didn't he just pick up the stones where he was? He was sitting on top of a mountaintop. I'm pretty sure any of those five rocks, and he could have probably found some smooth ones right where he was, but instead he went to the brook, which alludes me to believe that in so many words, uh David had to step away to free his thoughts, his thinking. Yeah, to free his thinking, to go to handle the giant that he was about to face, right? And in the midst at the brook, he picks up five smooth stones. I want to, I'm trying to paint this picture. I'm trying to paint this picture um, for you. And it's this place where I believe where David separates himself from the Israel army to be by himself was a time of reflection. Yep. A time of prayer, a time of solitude, meditation. I think this was a place where David um, realized this, that he had been here at this moment, this time before. Think about it. We know the story of David. He's fought lions, he's fought bears, and now he's about to face Goliath. He's been here before. This is a familiar spot. This is a familiar moment in time. And just like he handled any other situation before, having to face the lion and finding the courage, having to face the bear and finding courage. I think this is right where we find David now facing Goliath and having to find courage. And I believe for him to find courage was to get away from the doubters, to get away from the naysayers, to get removed from those who were fearful. He had to disconnect from those who didn't want to take on the challenge of the giants, and get to this place which was familiar with him. Understanding he had been here before, he's done this. This is not his first, what did they say? This ain't his first merry-go-round. I think that's how the saying go. He's been through this shoot twice, and now he's taking this same approach. And I believe this is a place where David gets connected to the source. This is the place where David gets connected to the source. This is the place where he meditates, he's praying, he's seeking God's favor before he goes into battle. And in the midst of this, in the midst of seeking God's face, separating himself from the naysayers and doubters, he finds a solution. Yep. The solution is to pick up five smooth rocks. Yep. So he can go into battle. Watch this. He picks up five smooth rocks, but if you know the story says that David only used one. He used one stone and slayed Goliath. One stone and slayed Goliath. My point here is, how are we approaching our Goliaths? Is the giant that's before you something you've seen before? Is this a battle that keeps repeating itself in your life? Is this not your first merry-go-round with this issue? How have you been handling this issue time and time again? Are you using the same old tactics that haven't worked in the past and not adopt or adapt to new ways to approach challenges in your life? Is this the same old giant that continuously defeats you in battle? And if it's not, that's fine. That's fine. But I raised the question because I want to know, how are you approaching your Goliath? Something interesting about David and Goliath, and I think scripture scripture kind of leave it out, or we can allude to, right, is that it wasn't just David and Goliath. I believe this battle took place with God, David versus Goliath. I'll say that again. I believe this battle took place with God and David versus Goliath. David didn't approach his giant, even if it wasn't his first time in the shoot. Yep, he didn't underestimate his giant. He didn't just say, "Well, I not only have I beat a lion, but not only have I taken on a bear." You know what I'm saying? And then just went out and go fought Goliath. He separated himself from the naysayers. He separated himself from the doubters. He separated himself from the negative thoughts that could penetrate his being, his mindset, and got into a place, yep, where he can sort out his thoughts. He can visualize how he wanted to fight this battle. Yeah. He can say, you know what, this is how I fought the lion, and this worked and this didn't work. He can identify some pros and cons. Yeah. This is how the last time I was in this place, and I fought the bear, this happened, and this time I want to make sure I don't want to make that same mistake. Yep, he took maybe an analytical approach. Not only did he take an analytical approach, think about this, and not only did he take an analytical approach, but he just didn't say, "I can do this on my own." I need y'all to get this. He went to the source to get help, to find the to not, yeah, to find the confidence, to find the assurance, yep, to win the challenge that was set before him. And I'm curious to know, how are you approaching the battles, the giants in your life? Are you trying to do them on your own because you think you can do it, because you've been down this road before? Yeah. When you won a couple of times, but then you lost some too? Or do you want to walk in the victory that what God has called you to? Yep. Identify the pros and cons, and then lay the situation. Because when I really think about this, he really gave this situation to God. He really gave this situation to God. I believe the brook, when in the story, is a representation of David seeking God's face in the midst of his giant. Yeah, that's what I believe. And so how do you desire to move or face your giants? Because we all know procrastination is the biggest killer of dreams. It's the thief that steals our confidence. It's the thing that keeps us stagnant, keeps us limited, not moving forward and reaching our full potentials. And I want to give you 4 simple signs to recognize when it comes to facing your giant called procrastination. If you got a pen and paper, come rock with me. Simple signs of procrastination. And I want you to be able to recognize, because I think when we look at this story of David and Goliath, I think one thing that David did was he recognized the situation. Yeah, he understood the 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 magnitude. Yeah, he realized that there could be some things that come to hinder him from being victorious in this moment, this time, in this place. Yeah, yeah. I just believe he realized that there were a few things that could cause derail him from his victory, right? And oftentimes, some of those things that can derail our victory is just this procrastination. And when it comes to procrastination, I want you to be mindful of being a perfectionist. Yep. Yep. A perfectionist. Stop trying to get it perfect. Not everything needs to be perfect before you start. Whatever that goal, whatever that dream, whatever that vision is, remove being a perfectionist out of your life and just get started. Yep. It doesn't have to be perfect. You just got to start kicking into that to action. You don't have to have all the answers. It doesn't have to feel right. You just need to get started. So that's the sign. Recognize when you become the perfectionist. When you start telling yourself, well, it doesn't look right. It doesn't feel right. That's not what I wanted. That's not how I want it to look. Yep. That's when you're becoming a perfectionist, and it's hindering you. And it's a form of a giant in your life called procrastination. Here's the solution to perfectionism, right? Your solution to perfectionism is to simply give yourself permission, yep, for whatever you're working on and for it to simply suck at it. That's simple. That's just simple. It's okay not to get it right. It's okay not to be good at it. Just get out and do it. Because the more you do it, the more practice you put into it, the more you start working it, the more you start ironing out the imperfections. Isn't that good? The more you start working it, the more you start working out the imperfections. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to sound like you want it to sound. It doesn't have to look how you want it to look. It don't have to taste, feel. You just need to get after what's in your heart to go do. And I think that's what you saw when you see David when he's facing his Goliath. Because he's asking himself, why one of y'all didn't go? You the army, you know? And he just was like, well, I'll go. He wasn't trying to be a perfectionist. He wasn't trying to get it right. He just was mindful that, hey, I'll go work it. I've been down this road before. Number two, listen, another sign for procrastination, and I want you to bring awareness to you, is fear. What's that element of fear that's holding you back? Yep, I'm talking about false emotions that appear real. What's that element of fear that's holding you back? We all get it. I mean, fear isn't really a bad thing. It's really designed to keep you safe, right? However, we abuse fear and allow fear to hold us in place, right? So fear leads us to procrastination. Just that simple. Your giant fear can lead you being or allowing fear can lead to control you, can lead you to procrastination. You can have the fear of being uncomfortable. Let's be real. Not only is our brain designed to keep us safe, but our brain is also designed to keep us comfortable. Yeah. So when you start feeling like you're getting out of your comfort zone, fear creeps in. False emotions appearing real. Fear creeps in, and now you don't want to be uncomfortable. You know, nobody wants to be uncomfortable. Um, uh, Speaking in front of other people. Nobody wants that. That's the one example came to my head right now. Right? Nobody wants to be uncomfortable um, hosting a workshop and nobody shows up. Nobody wants to be uncomfortable, right? And you can have that element of fear, which I've had many times, of doing the event by myself without anyone. And now because I'm doing it, I'm in my head, I'm overthinking, and I'm uncomfortable. And fear tells me don't do it. Another form of fear is receiving negative feedback. Nobody wants negative feedback. We all want to be praised for what we do, right? And having the fear of negative feedback. Well, you suck. Your show wasn't that great. Well, you could have added more content. You didn't, your transitions wasn't as smooth. This was some feedback that I've received. You know what? Here's the solution, guys. Here's the solution. Ask yourself, what's the worst could happen? When you're facing fear, simply ask yourself, what's the worst can happen? It can't be any worse. Because watch this, you're not trying to perfect it, right? You just need to do it. And you don't need to be bombarded in your head with fear holding you down. So the second sign for recognizing your giant of procrastination is fear. Number three, the third sign to recognizing procrastination or a sign of procrastination in your life is the feeling of being overwhelmed. Anybody get to this place where we say, I'm having anxiety, I'm nervous, I'm excited, I'm depressed, whatever well, we say overwhelmed, depression, it won't be overwhelmed, but you're overwhelmed about the situation. Yep. Little anxiety kicks in. It seems to be from time to time that we have let's say it this way, we can be overwhelmed sometime from time to time because let me see, how did I write this? Okay, so being overwhelmed sometimes can feel like that we have loads of work to do. Yep. So many things come up. Um, so many hey yous take place, right? And sometimes we can get overwhelmed by all the responsibilities or things or the anxiety of having to get some things done, where to the place and point we begin to procrastinate. You ever been the type of person that have 10 million things to do? I got to do this, I got to do that, I got to do this, and I got to do that. And you're making all excuses for why you haven't started the project, for why you haven't beat your addiction, for why you allowed your anger to control you, for why rejection seems uh, to overpower you. Yeah. We can have 10 million things to do, but the truth is, while we may have a lot to do and we might be in this place of being overwhelmed, the truth is we never get started on anything. Yeah. You ever been in that place? You got to do this, you got to do that, you got to do that, you got to wash clothes, you got to go to the bank, you got to hit the grocery store. Your list uh, does it make sense? Your list is so long that you can never get started on the thing that's most important to you. You never get to doing that thing that's most important to you, and anxiety kicks in. Your mind starts racing. What you're gonna do first, or how you gonna do it, and you never get anything done. Here we go. Here's the solution. I need you to get to a place where you start prioritizing, 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 prioritizing. Start putting things in priority. Yep. Build your to-do list. Identify the things in life that you want to get done for the day. Figure out what actually needs to be done. and done immediately. Yep. And prioritize it. Work that first thing done to completion. Then move to the next task until completion. If you're like me, sometimes you can be overwhelmed and you can have a whole bunch of things. You can be trying to work on 3, 4 different things at a time, never feeling like you accomplished one single task. Well, if you ever find your self in a place where you're feeling overwhelmed, ding, 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 it's a sign of procrastination. Number 4, distraction. It's the last sign. Well, I only gave you 4, but the last sign for procrastination. See, most of us are consistently bombarded with distractions. Consistent, whether it's our phones, whether it's the emails, text messages, honey to-do lists, picking up the kids throughout the day, going to the girl, I don't know, whatever distraction takes place, it's interesting. My phone didn't go off tonight, right? But here we go. Here is the solution. Get to this place where you simply do first things first. Yeah. Do one thing at a time. Set a time period to accomplish it, get it accomplished. I say that because oftentimes, and I said this just a minute ago, oftentimes you got 100 things that you want to get accomplished, right? You're trying to get accomplished. And when you just work on one thing, so what um I've implemented for myself is that I write out my to-do list. I give it priority. I prioritize with the things that's most important, the things that I think uh, have the biggest return on investment, ROI, the thing that had the biggest return on investment for me. I don't know what that might be for you. I prioritize it and then I work it for a set amount of time, whether that's 20 minutes, 30 minutes to an hour or two. I give it a time limit of how long I'm going to work on it. At the end of that time, whatever's done is done. And I either move on to the next project and move on to the next project, depending on how many things, what I have to get done and by when. So sometimes I will work and get things done to completion, so I give myself enough time to complete the task. So think about it. It's one or two ways that you do it, but the choice is yours. So in closing, guys, I just want to keep this simple. I know I started this thing off a little rough with David and Goliath, but realize that um, um, get to this place that one, you can identify your giants in your life. Yeah. What's the thing that's causing you to be fearful and not accomplishing your task or doing the things that's in your heart to do? If your giants are, or whatever that might be, rejection, anger, addiction, procrastination, just identify that for yourself, man, and get to the place where you can pick up this David syndrome. That's what I'll call it, the David syndrome. Maybe I should have titled it that, right? So you can pick up this David syndrome where you build awareness about uh what this giant looks like. Where have you seen it before? Where have you recognized it in your past or in your present? How did you handle it? How did you handle that situation last time? What worked, what didn't work, right? Yep, identify that. But then get to this place too where you just simply give your giant to the Lord. Just pray over it. Just give God the situation. Because the truth is, so many times we try to handle our giants on our own. And the truth is, when in the battle of David versus Goliath, can I be honest, guys? I believe it was God and David versus Goliath in the end. And God wants to help us fight our battles. He tells us all the time, the battle is not yours, you know. But we try to take on this mastery, we try to take charge, and we never give uh our situation over to the Lord, you know. 4 signs to help you recognize procrastination in your life, that giant of procrastination in your life. 1, recognize the sign of perfectionism. Yep. Needing to have things be perfect. The truth is, you just need to give yourself permission. Recognize the sign of fear, false emotions appearing real. Yeah, because fear leads to procrastination. The feeling of being overwhelmed. Get to this place where you start prioritizing the things that you need to get done, and recognize distractions that come subtle, lightly, under the radar, that consistently bombard us day in and day out, hindering us from reaching our goals and objectives. Truth is, you just need to get to a place where you're doing one thing at a time and give whatever that task is a time limit to get it complete. That's it in a nutshell. Your boy D-Rob, and as you always hear me say, success is in your hands. It's up to you what you do with it. Thank you, and God bless.